Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today guys I'm going to be talking about another one of the Scottish ethno-nationalist lies. And this lie is Unionists hate Scotland, or more particularly, do they hate the Scotland flag? Or do they hate Scotland? Because this is a claim made by the ethno-nationalists for a long time, because to their minds, if you promote the UK, you like the UK, you like its existence in the United Kingdom, Scotland is in the United Kingdom, you are not a real Scot. Now, to make it explain to anyone, a unionist is what is named for a person who likes the United Kingdom or promotes the idea of the United Kingdom, who maybe waves the Scotland flag and waves the UK flag as well. They understand the understanding of the 1707 Act of the Act of Union, and they actually want to work with the English, and they actually like the bonds that we made with the Welsh and the English as well. And the particular problem for the nationalists is that we actually acknowledge the relationship between the Scottish and the English. We're not like living in 1706, where we hated each other up to 90%. That was real bigotry at the time. So who are these people who make the claim? Well, to be honest, this is what I would call ethno-nationalism, or what the Unionists call toxic ethnic nationalism. I have the description of what I'm using the term ethno-nationalism in my first video of this playlist. Please go onto there to make sure you don't mix up my words. But basically, in Scotland, the idea of ethno-nationalism is looked at toxic nationalism against the civil nationalist ideal. English, Scots, Welsh, Irish of both sides all working together and not having a united aggression against one another instead of having a united nation with each other. So what these people really do is part of something called the Scotsman fallacy, but we'll talk about that in a second. The main thing is they hate the idea of English people working with Scottish people. The idea is they do not like it. They cannot comprehend it. It is real racism and Anglophobic bigotry, because what they're trying to do is trying to drive a wedge between two ethnic groups, the Scottish and the English, to make sure the hatred still exists. And the reason I use this picture here is because this would be actually under the new hate crime law. English, which is an ethnic category, would be racial discrimination against an English minority or an English group. And those characteristics do fall in line with what the new hate crime law says. The same one made by these people, and they love it because the law can be used if someone doesn't like an immigrant, but it's okay for them to racially discriminate against other white people. So that's basically what it is. It is racism in its purest form, held by mostly older people. Older people with bigoted views, with bigoted ideas, who really just don't want the idea of Scottish people and English people working together. And the idea of saying Unionists hate Scotland is because it's part of this thing called the Scotsman fallacy. The idea is to make sure there's such a wedge between these two groups. The Scotsman fallacy is basically, I'll show you a video about this, but the idea is basically you're not a true Scotsman until I tell you otherwise. Let's use another example. Let's talk about the Beatles. If you don't like Paul McCartney from the Beatles, you're not a true Beatles fan. If you're in a football game, if you don't like the coach, if you don't like the strip colour, you're not a real football fan. You're not a real Scotland football fan. And that's the whole point. The whole point is to disorganize and make you not feel like an outgroup. That's the whole point. Like, you're not one of us, and we can literally point fingers at you and say you're not a real thing, so you're not one of us. Apart from the fact that you have actual ethnic ties to the homeland. But these people just have this fallacy. And we've actually got evidence here, that prove this debunk thing. But I'm going to let you listen to an actual expert who can explain this fallacy a little bit better. Play the video.
Are you a true patriot? Are you a good Muslim? Are you a proper music fan? Well, first you must pass this test. You must look, believe, and behave a certain way. If not, well, then I'm afraid you can't call yourself that. These are examples of what the philosopher Anthony Flew called the no true Scotsman fallacy. Imagine there's someone called John who's reading the news about a bloody and terrible crime, and he says, I can't believe a Scotsman would do such a thing. And the next day, a Scotsman is in fact found guilty. And so rather than admit he's wrong, John says, well, no true Scotsman would have done such a thing. This fallacy, known as the appeal to purity, works in two ways. First, it assumes that there is an idealized version of something that we have to live up to. It says that there is one definition of a true Muslim, a true patriot, or a true Beatles fan. Everyone else is just a fraud. Second, there is no way to actually satisfy the no true Scotsman fallacy, because if you provide a counterexample, then you are dismissed as an irrelevant data point. If you say, for example, but I believe the country should be like this, then you're told, oh, well, you're not a pure patriot then. But who are the gatekeepers of what makes a true movie fan, a true socialist, a true philosopher, or whatever? The no true Scotsman fallacy is bad logic, bad science, and it's really irritating. If you are told that you are not a proper or a true anything, then it's an example of the fallacy at play, and it's a call to look at the definitions that people are using.
Yes, and the fallacy keeps going and going and going, but we live in a country that's not really tackled these questions head on. We've actually just allowed the world to ignore Scotland and ignore how it's been going about all these different ideals. And people should really be waking up to these things, which is a conversation that I've had with people before, but I don't think people are ready to have the conversation. But when you're talking about the conversation, I thought, you know what? The best way of debunking this entire myth was actually ask a bunch of unionists what exactly do they hate about Scotland? Do they hate it? And that's actually led to an interesting point. If you're not interested about what this video is going to continue on to from this point, please skip it, because you're not listening to what other people are about to say. Because I went to a lot of Facebook community pages, the anti-SNP, anti-independence ones, that's a particular point, which have unionists in them, and I asked this very simple question. I'm making a video based on the claim of unionists hate this flag, the Scotland flag, the saltire and the rampant lion. Awesome flags, by the way. And I ask, can I ask anyone who wants to tell me anonymously, or they don't have to, which apparently everyone's quite bold to say. They know this was going to happen, or not, if they ever dislike seeing the flag or anything negative about it. I am making a video on this on YouTube. Your name won't be on, but this statement will be. So the statement that was made by them on the comments below will be shared, which you're about to see. I apologize if this is inappropriate, but I think it's important to debunk this for a younger audience who still believes the lies of Brexit and Indie. And this is the thing about the entire mythos of independence. It's literally just debunking a lot of lies that are made by the SNP, the Scottish National Party, to make sure all the dirty unionists they don't like don't get an opinion said. And it's really annoying because it's literally hoping on the ideas of old bigoted views, like the actual ones, to make sure it doesn't work for them. And most unionists don't hate the Scotland flag. They just hate it's represented into the picture that I showed you before with the anti-English lot and the people who really just don't like the fucking English at all. Even there are people in there who says we've married the English people, but I'm like, you're literally telling the English people they should be annoyed of their ethnic identity as well, but be proud of the one that you fucked. Yeah. Anyway, so let's go and talk about the video here, and let's go and talk a look at all the comments that are here. So this person says, Union Jack for me. Very, very normal comment. And then this one down here, before 2010, I went abroad and would take 2 flags with me, fly them. Then after 2010, I stopped. And that reason was that everyone would think we were an SNP supporter, and if you flew those flags, the one hate and see as a nationalist flag, and the light blue saltire flags are what the SNP introduced. So political involvement leading to people disassociate themselves with the ethnic national flag of their national identity, with the light blue representing the sky. As a darker blue is always too loyal blue, and now they only buy dark blue Saltire flags. Today I will fly them to support Fly the Flag as it annoys the Scottish Government, the SNP and the Greens, and especially with the Union flag, which before 2010 I would never have. Sorry, I cut that off there. And yeah, that's basically what most of the people don't. Yeah, that's really just the main point of it all. Yeah, sorry, I cut that off there. But basically, that's the main point. The flag that's been used by the independence campaign to make sure they separate themselves from the English has been adopted by the government. People, not every flag can be represented by the government, but if you call yourself Scottish, does that really mean you're representing those people? Not always. But this is what they've done. They've literally tarnished your national identity flag to link themselves to an anti-English, anti-British movement. And then that's leaving people to be disassociated with the flag that their nation's supposed to be supporting with. We can see a lot of this with the Palestine lot. Moving on. They are both my flags, the Lampin Lion and the Sultan. I'm glad to see one in the photo is the correct in colouring, which is actually true. The colours are different from what they should be. And it's fine. There's absolutely no problem with having the flags like in whichever one it is or not, and there's no problem. This one win lasts longer with the SNP are just bad memory. Scottish and British flags together. Just an remembrance of the tarnishing of what the SNP have done to the Scottish identity. So the next one here is, I don't like the SNP version of the light blue, dark blue for me. And that's a good point about the colouring, because the government in 2003 actually wanted to change the standard in 2003 to a lighter colour. So the actual Scotland one was a darker blue, but the light one was more associated with the SNP's one, or the government's one. So that is actually a good point I kind of had to remember myself about. Well done. Never heard anybody say it. Load of pish, which is all can be true. Some people say it, some people don't, but this video has been created to debunk that lie. So clearly the opinion has been said, and there are people who counter their argument saying, well, maybe. When you're saying, well, maybe, or something like that, it means the fucking theory existed in some form, not existing at all, and I just brought it up. Just saying. Nats use their own defective flag, or that light blue version, or the about 30 other countries all made up genders. Okay, so I hate it because the Nats stole it. The Nats made the flag of independence, so I hate it now, which is perfectly actually acceptable. You don't have to accept what you've been given as what people just want the flag to be. Clearly, someone didn't like that from the Rangers supporting club, and I know that I was referring to the heading. Okay, and when SNP folks defected the Saltire, yes, I became sick of the sight of it. And you do. If your flag, say the American flag, is represented with fascism and Donald Trump, you're gonna fucking hate the flag. It's so true. Like, you just only have to convince someone that flag represents something else. It does. You're just done. The conversation for some people is just over. And if there are people who do hate the flag, I don't blame you. And maybe it'd be good for the nationalists to watch the video and actually understand you maybe made it toxic for them to watch. Because it happens with the Palestine flag, it's happened with the Brazil flag, it's happened with the Scottish flag, the UK British flag. Fuck me about that one. It's meant to be a good symbol. No, it's fucking empire. It's evil. It's all that. And it's like, oh, come on. It's actually petty politics, to be fair. I have both tattooed on my back, so where do they get this idea from? Well, the lighter blue one and the original version, a darker blue, came out because the annotated throughout the dark blue stood to be better than the Union flag, so it was a reverse engineering to be different version of the Saltire. And remember, when I looked at those two flags, there was a light version and the dark version. Like, the darker version shows up in the Union Jack. I no longer fly the Saltire. The Scottish Nonce Party desecrated it with the proxy fleet letters with silver material embossed on the light blue and white Saltire. I heard you have the passion to fly the lion lampant flag as a matter of loyal matter. I don't know what he's on about, but whatever. Proud to be Scottish and British. No argument there. As an Englishman, I always represented the Scottish cross with the St. Andrews, which is what it is. Only when disfigured with the yes on it, that's our flag and should not be used by our political party. But political parties will use a flag to make sure they can get the votes. And there's no point trying to get around the Scottish National Party that calls themselves Scottish Nationalist Party or the National Party and not use the Scotland flag, even if they're a bunch of globalists. But anyway, why would the Unionists not like these flags? The Saltire is part of the Union flag, and the Lion Lampant is part of the Royal Standard, which is true. They are part of it, but these people are trying to dissociate whatever history there are between the English and the Scottish. So trying to make sure there's any statement about it is in the intention of bad defect. They will try to do this on purpose. Nope. Love both flags, the Saltire and the St. Andrews, and the Lion Lampant are the royal flag of Scotland. Pity the Saltire has been hijacked by nationalists and been degraded by the SNP agenda, but it is still part of the United Kingdom flag. And people do need to remember that is why there's a giant cross in the UK flag or the Union Jack that is representing Scotland. And in the country United Kingdom, Scotland is part of it. It's not a county, it's not a territory, it's not a colony. It is part of the United Kingdom. This is child's fucking understanding of what the UK is. If the immigrants can understand it, I think you can understand it too. You bigots. I'm on about the Nats here. So, the loyal standard support needs permission. The cult of lies, SNP should worry you more. Well, we have to debunk them because us younger generation don't get a chance to have these conversations because people are like, oh, it's no need to have them anymore. It's all been debunked. Yet the claim still happens and it still gets 50 to 1,000 likes, Ks, people vote for them. So we have to talk about the conversation. I don't hate this flag. I do hate the way the nationalists have used their cause, which is just the same claim again. Hopefully you use that flag in the image and not an indie Saltire. No, I know that's the point. Never heard it said in my 80 years. Yet people are commenting saying otherwise. S-Nads says Nads and adopted the Saltire and made it more into with the independence. It's fine because this is just what happens with this lot. The Saltire, the Nats used the light blue and defaced its own. It's an offensive, not the Leo Saltire. Remember, those two different colors, not the light blue, the dark one. And although I know the dark one, I've clarified it before. And knows why they are used the loyal standard. It's a bit of hypocritical. Yeah, it sort of is. And I probably have fucked up my English in this one as well, but you never know. I just had to explain it to you because I'm trying my best here. The red line is the King's flag, and the Lion Lampant is Saltire of St. Andrews and should be navy blue. There we go. The Union Jacobus? Alright, Jacobus was designed by Scots King James after he accepted an invitation to become King of England to unite the Britain, and he incorporated the St. Andrew's Cross and the Red Cross of St. George. Wales was always amalgamated. The Union Jack is that symbol of the unity all over the island, and it is true all what he said there, although James might have been a little bit too young to accept the invitation, because I think he was quite young. But then again, what's the problem here? There's not. That is history and that's fact, and that's actually why the flag is in the thing in the first place. Everyone knows the Saltire and the Lion Lampard live in England. Not sure what to make of that, but okay. Which flag are you meaning, the Sultai or the Royal Standard? And someone says the Sultai no longer flown in my house as a reply comment to that. When SMP fucks to face the Sultai, yes, I became sick of it straight. Yep. I love both flags, baby blue and one not Scottish. The Nats hijacked the Sultai, usually pale blue, however, the actual Sultai is dark blue. We need to get back to the Leo Scots. Can use it. Fly both flags with pride. That's fine with that. There's no issue there. And another one. We don't hate the Sultai. They're washed out defective version of it. The line lamping is one of theirs misuse and they do either. Okay. And the line lamping is Scotland's royal banner. Is often mistaken for Scotland's national flag. The line lamping Scotland is the royal banner of the King, Queen of Scots. This is something. The lion one was actually made before the Sultai, and there was actually a little battle and all that to declare. I'm just saying that now. Symbolism, history, the lion served as royal emblems in Scotland since 12th century. I feel like he copied and pasted something there. And the first adopted William the First of Scotland, also known as the William Lion, and I forgot to add the rest of that. I'm sorry. Yeah, anyway, so the Sultai became the symbol of the scum who voted for SNP. So sad. This is Scotland, not the symbol of the mentality of the social changed, which is not the worst comment I've read here. Love both flags, but hate the fact the SNP have hijacked the Sultai and made it a symbol of their stupidity and hatred. Orkney flag? Question mark. Beirut. Never heard of that, but sounds good. I can't stand seeing washed out like the S-nuts wave around, but all the actual Sultai and the rampant heart. How could I not be? It's a flag of the Legion of the United Kingdom I live in, which is a point. I am personally not offended by any flags other than the Ulster-led hand. Not quite sure what that is, but okay. It leaks of violence, hatred, and bigotry, and deeply provocative. No issue with the Union flag, Welsh flag, Scottish flag, slangs, Irish flag, Palestine flag, or Israeli flag. And here's a little one I want to mention here. See that Scot flag with the Yes movement? That is mainly where the hate comes from. The Yes is the independence campaign, which is anti-UK, anti-British, anti-Westminster, whatever. And right there onto the Scottish national identity flag is the word yes slapped onto it. And it's like, oh, you're Scotland, you love us, yes. If you were really Scottish, you'd be saying I, A-Y-E. You're using English. Your so-called colonizers' words. They went ahead with that and made lots of money with those things. And even masks during COVID. Sad fucks, honest to God. Something, sorry, detest the abomination, but the St. Andrew's cross on the line lamp and I have no problem with. Why would I? I'm Scottish. The SNP hijacked the Sultai and weaponized it, and including that flag there. The proper navy blue, not the light blue version since 2012, and that's the dark blue version there. SNP sheep make up their own shit for fuck's sake. The Union flag for me, which is fine. Fuck the SNP, which is fine. I mean, Unionists, both flags are great, which is fine. The biggest point that would be the weaponization of the Sultai by the SNP. Using it to inflict division and hate amongst the Union, the lamp and Lionheart was always been the flag of choice for the Scots that support the Union, which is true. You can have whatever flag you like, there's no issue there. But when you weaponize it, people are going to start resenting it. I love the proper ones, the dark blue ones, the St. Andrews, and not the ink running through the shitty shape of blue. I also hate those who have hijacked it for their own demands and delusions. Both are flags I've associated with Scotland and never had a negative feeling towards them. Well, it was that till the SNP captured the Sultai and proclaimed it as their personal flag. Separatists make me ashamed of being Scottish. Now that's how I feel too, according to this guy called Sam. That got a few likes. I hate the parody of light blue saltire that Swiss Nats intend to. I love how the name's still there. After years, it's still being used. The saltire and will always be dark blue. I hate the separatists have claimed it as their flag. It's still Scotland's flag, and regardless of your views. Sorry, I like both flags. I hate the Nats flag. Ain't the colour. They can't even get that right. Both flags are Scotland. I hate the fact that one or both were hijacked by the minority of nationalist sect. And the flags both belong to Scotland and the people, not a minority of separatists. These flags along the Union flag should not be flown on public buildings. The cancer that these SNP have made of flying the flags are political instead by being a statement of their pride in our country. Sorry, I cut that off. The separatists, I believe that's meant to say, have fought through and underrated that loyal standard. Loyal Lampin is owned by the monarch of the United Kingdom and technically still has a legal display throughout the stipulated regulations. Albert, the law, is an architect, is never interpreted. I fuck up on my English too, it's fine. And I have a little bit of problems leading things out, so I apologize if this is painful for you. I know that this is classified as a loyal standard. Without the permission, one can fly this flag. I rather have the UK flag and the Scotland flag. Is that normal? Well, someone replied to that, yes it is, just as stars and stripes are flown above the states in the United States. The next flag will be the Irish tricolour. This is the result of giving immigrants any say. Well, they're done by Scottish nationalists, so I don't know what that. The Nats stole, and I hated the way they use it, the blanket vile hatred of the English people. The actual racist is the way they go about them, which is true. This is why I don't like it, personally. I'll answer my one at the end. Both flags, but hate the bastardized saltire with the implied Paul's blue colour with the yes on it, the one that we saw. No, we don't hate the flag. We hate who has hijacked it for their own. Yeah, and I think that's all the comments there. So hopefully that's answered any questions about if they hate it or do they not. Mainly, they don't like it because it's been hijacked by Scottish nationalists or separatists or ethno-nationalists to make sure their version of what things happen. And I like a lot of people realize the difference between the light blue and the dark one. And I had to remember that for myself. Because remember, I lived in the era of Tony Blair. And all I've ever seen as a government is that light blue flag. And I'm like, of course it's a Scotland flag. So the idea of there being a dark one, the one I used on the thumbnail, probably doesn't exist in a lot of young people's heads. It's always that light blue version, but that's the other one. Lazy things. And do I hate the flag? I resent it for the reasons some of them people here have explained. It is a symbol of the hatred against the English and the hatred against the coalition, all the work, or the friendships and the families that we built over the last 300-400 years. That's what it represents in my heart. But when I see them flying, when they raise the colors, I was like, yeah, that's my flag, that's my country, that's my place, that's where I'm from, that's my ethnic identity, that's where I am. And the British one is just as proud, but if I'm going to pick one to fly the proudest, I will still pick the UK Union Jack. Because that's the one I've still got proudness to support, because we did a lot of good things. Scots don't have to shit on their own people, but some people are just that pathetic. Thank you. See you later. Goodbye.